Tory Lanez and his lawyer has launched a website. Yes, a website.
Except for Harlem Nights, we've never seen anybody get shot in their pinky toe and be completely all right.
There's a lot of people who are interested in this case, and I wonder why. Is this really a miscarriage of justice? Young man Travis Hunter, he got married to his sweetheart.
In this case, he coming with a whole lot of wealth, and she ain't coming with nothing.
To go into this with no prenup is just foolish.
Offset has requested spousal support.
Cardi is worth $100 million, right? And he's worth 30.
If he wanted to make Cardi bread, he should have stayed with Cardi B.
He is literally the definition to me of a bitter baby mom. Oops, daddy.
Welcome to yet another episode of the BLC Pod. It's only 3 of us, but we're going to make it seem like it's 5 of us.
The original.
Yeah, it is.
And we got most of our people with us on this episode of the BLC Pod. We have a great episode lined up. We're going to hold it down, you know what I'm saying, for Del and Tia, you know what I mean? But before we get into all of that, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff. Yo, and we appreciate the comments. You heard what I'm saying? I be out there with the Twitter fingers or the TikTok fingers. But nonetheless, we appreciate y'all. And you know what? We got the merch, y'all. We got the merch, y'all. Tap in, support. It's what it's all about, love and support. But speaking of which, we want to send out some love and support to our guy, Del. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with a personal situation. So we're going to, love, thoughts, and prayers to our guy, Del. And Tia's out here moving, man. So unfortunately, she can't join us on today's episode. But Tia, we out there. You know what I'm saying? We love you guys. You know what I'm saying? Hurry back. We miss y'all already. But for the people that we have here with us today, SNM is in the building! SNM! I be having that shit ready. I went to the Oprah school of hosting, but go ahead, SNM, what's happening?
I am so tickled. And SNM. But anyway, so I'm super excited to be on the show today. I am. But you know what? Life is life, and that's what I would say. And I would just add one little thing that I noticed recently. There seems to be this uptick about the Divine Nine and folks basically denouncing the Divine Nine. And as a member of the Divine Nine, I just would like to point out a couple things. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Yeah. Because you can leave without denouncing and making this a whole whoop-de-doo. And if you felt like the devil or something was in your space, then that says more about you than what it says about the organization itself. So I just want to say that for those denouncing, not hating on you, go ahead and do what you got to do. But I'm just saying you ain't got to be saying all these other stuff and so forth. So good luck to you in your little cult that you're now doing. And I say kudos. Stand on it. Sorry. I wasn't actually...
I kind of agree with you, SNM. Go ahead. That's how we started the show?
I could jump in on that. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's your boy, Just Jay. I'm going to just jump on in. SNM, I agree with you completely, okay? The Jadakiss said, the strong move quiet, the weak start riots. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to leave, just leave. Why you got to make a speech? Why you got to make a scene? Why you need 5 other people to leave with you? If your convictions are what they are, then you should be able to stand on them by yourself, on your own 10 toes. So the fact they got to make a big fuss is ridiculous to me. Now, that being said, people make mistakes. And in the interest of mistakes, I'd like to say on the BLC After Dark, I advise people to be transparent in their relationships, and I was wrong. Yes, run it back. I said it. I was wrong. Not about Travis Hunter. He's a complete fool making a big mistake. We'll get back to that. But I was wrong about this honesty thing. I was looking at a clip of a lady. She was talking about her friend. I think it was really herself. And she was saying that the relationship had been going good. They had been like, I don't care about your past or whatever. And then they got to the past conversation. And then she's like, she asked me if he had been, in some trains. And she was like, and he was like, yeah, I did like 2 or 3, you know what I'm saying? It was fun. She's like, okay, that's cool. So he turned back to her. He's like, yo, you ever been involved, a train? Not the kind like Thomas, the sexual kind. And she was like, I probably did a few, you know what I'm saying? It was fun for me too. And dude was like, oh, I'm so disgusted. And he was like, he broke up with her, right? So I got to retrace that now. And I want to say, if ladies, Reinvent yourself with your new man. Wipe all your host stage away. Let him discover it and think he has unlocked this part of you. The new trick, like, oh my God, I never done this before. I just can't believe I'm so good. You know what I'm saying? Do that, because apparently these dudes can't handle the truth. All right? They can't handle the truth. And the homeboy, I'm ashamed of you, man, because what you're really saying is you were afraid that you couldn't back up her sexual experience and you got intimidated, so you bounced. And that's just sad, because otherwise you were disrespecting the lady you had to train with and you didn't respect her. And that's really also sad. So if you feel like a person get a train to be respected, you should respect the lady who's with you now, even though she had many trains run on her before. She loves you now. That's what's important. I'm ready for the show, Nick. Go ahead.
I feel like at this point, that was the show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for tapping into the BLC Pod. We'll see y'all next week. You know what I mean?
My intros are usually pretty short. I just packed them out in today. That's all.
It's like, come along for a fantastic voyage. I mean, listen, I know we've been on break, right? And we come back. You know what I mean? We got a couple folks who can't be with us, right? And so Jay got to fill the space. I ain't mad at that. I don't even know what to say. No, actually, I do know what to say. Number one, listen, one of the things I learned on break was that sometimes, man, we got to take breaks. You know what I mean? For me personally, I've been so hard charging that by the time I actually slowed the fuck down, my body was like, yo, what the fuck? And I felt body pains and aches and shit. I'm like, I'm not even working hard labor. How is that possible, right? So I do think sometimes when we're getting older, y'all, so we got to just do a better job of slowing down a little bit, taking better care of ourselves. And I definitely have to do that. Speaking of taking better care of ourselves, I saw a video clip, I think while we were gone, of Lizzo. Maybe it was a little bit before we left, right? And Lizzo was getting her, I mean, she was rapping and she was getting her dance on and everything. And like when she was a little doing the booty part, it was pixelated. I thought that was cute. You know what I'm saying? Like the pixelated part. I didn't get a chance to see her booty. But like overall, what I really took from that was the joy that she seemed to be exuding in like this new transformation in her body and all that. You know what I'm saying? That's what's most important. You feel what I'm saying? But it also reminded me that like a lot of people's unhappiness is because they be lying. You know what I'm saying? Like the amount of joy that Lizzo showed in that video told me she was not really happy being that fat from before. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sure, it was where she was. She had to make it do what it do, but the joy that she had when she was dropping it and bending over, I said, oh, she been waiting to do that, right? And so all I'm saying is, y'all, just be honest with yourselves. Right? And you too can find your way to your happiness, even if it's twerking by the pool. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Lizzo. Like, yo, she losing about another 50. Woo! You know? Well, it's about
Not
35.
50. Okay.
It's on in 5.
You gonna add it to the harem?
I mean, listen, yeah, I mean, Lizzo beating, you heard me? But she was eating though. Shout out to Lizzo. She was eating in that video. She looked good. She was doing her thug thizzle. But man, let's start this damn show. Gotta be talking about Lizzo at the top
Hey,
of the show.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna add it to the harem, you know, she got some competition in there if she lose that extra weight. But you know, that's really interesting when we're talking about honesty, though, is this case. So I will do a confession now, and I did a POV with SNM, and in my POV, I did touch on Tory Lanez and my opinion of this ongoing case that continues to dun 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 drop new gems all of a sudden. And so I would just like to provide a really quick update in regards to where we are now. So apparently, Tory Lanez and his lawyer has launched a website. Yes, a website. It's called 36hourslater.com, in case you haven't seen it yet. So with that being said, everything, they basically just dumped audio tapes, so-called witness statements and everything onto this website to further prove that Tory is innocent. He did not shoot Meg in the foot. Even after she called him a demon last week, he said he didn't do it. Now, I will note there's two different versions on the storyline, and that's either A, Kelsey shot, and there's witnesses to state that Kelsey was the one who shot, well, one witness, and then another witness that's like, well, I don't know. But the one witness was like, she told her husband that he did it, so that she did it. And then there's another story where Megan stepped on glass and it's actually glass shards that was in her foot and so forth. But I would love to get you guys' opinion on the latest and greatest in the Tory Lanez.
Honestly, there's nothing new here, because I've been saying for the longest time the whole thing sounded fishy to me. First off, except for Harlem Nights, we've never seen anybody get shot in their pinky toe and be completely all right. So I was a little shocked that Meg got caught with a whole bullet in her pinky toe and still had a pinky toe to talk about. It just seems odd to me. Like, I've seen the size of bullets. I don't know if he's busting 22s, but if it was anything bigger than a 22, I don't see it. So the glass thing kind of makes sense. I think that what they're doing right now is, I don't know if legally it has any weight, but I do think that Meg has been able to like position herself off of this and kind of make, oh, she's standing up and she's this, she's that. She had been able to turn this into capital. And I think in some sense, this may be ill-gotten social gain in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, we had some sympathy for somebody that maybe doesn't deserve the sympathy for a few reasons. I mean, Kelsey's married and she's fighting over this other dude. It's like, it's a lot of mess. It's a whole lot of mess. And I honestly feel like if we were their auntie or their cousin or somebody, we'd be like, you over there acting up and you deserve half of what you got. And that's I kind of feel about the whole group of them. So it's good that more stuff is coming out. I don't know if it's going to help Tory Lanez because he's a felon. If he fired a gun in any direction, that's going to be a problem for him. As far as public opinion, half the people don't like Meg anyway. And I'm ambivalent, but I hope it all comes out in the sense that I hope that the man isn't besmirched any more than he already is. I mean, he's already taken some stab wounds and stuff. I mean, at least give him the right to clear his name. That's all I'm saying. Let him clear the air if he can.
There are some cases that come along where it's like perfect in the sense of giving us as men an opportunity to stand for Black women, to protect Black women, right? Because I hear this cry all the time. And this case comes along and it's like, this is perfect for us as Black men to say, we stand with Meg, right? You know what I'm saying? As a Black woman, because sometimes I remember early on talking about this case, it was difficult because it was like anybody who said anything on the other side, it made it seem like we were not standing with victims, no matter how small the pinky toe might have been. You know what I'm saying? And I just think this case is just not one of those cases. You know what I'm saying? This is, the irony here, y'all, is that if by some account, Tory Lanez, and I said this before, was trying to defend Meg, right? To diffuse a situation between two volatile women who were engaged in sharing the same peen and bottle of tequila, right? And so when we talk about protecting Black women, I remember one of the things that came out that I saw was them supposedly sitting on the curb when the police came. And I remember hearing Tory refer to Megan as his girlfriend. And I went back and I thought to myself, what was his frame of mind at the time? Yes, he was fucking Kelsey, but she was Kelsey, right? The main priority fuck here is Meg, right? That's his girlfriend. That's the one he's going to claim when the popos come, right? So when people talk about protecting, he, in his mind, was like, yo, that's my girl right there. Yeah, we beefing. Yeah, she was cop blocking. That's what girls do, right? And then Chelsea, is it Kelsey? Kelsey's out here wilding. And so now I got to protect Meg against Kelsey because I was the one who fucked Kelsey on the side, even though low key, I was really trying to get down with Meg for real. So I understand the irony of the situation. And so I say all this to say that this case in particular is weird because there's so much interest. I see Amber Rose. I see her on different shows, the governor, Gavin Newsom, the chick from Florida. There's a lot of people who are interested in this case. And I wonder why. Is this really a miscarriage of justice? And the irony again being that this Black man was protecting a Black woman. It's just hard to, I don't even know where we go from here, So I hope that justice is carried forth. But it seems like there's a miscarriage of justice as where things currently stand. Back to you, SNM.
It's the back to you, SNM. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You took me for a little loop.
Yeah, you weren't ready. I wasn't ready
You
either.
took me
It's
for a
okay.
loop.
It's okay.
So the additional details was basically that Kelsey was fighting Meg. They call it a cat fight. Everybody on scene called it a cat fight. And that he actually, she fired 3 shots. He got out the vehicle and grabbed the gun, and 2 more additional shots went out. That part has always been in play, so to speak, as far as this. And so apparently the witness did testify initially, and I guess they disregarded what this particular witness testified and still found him guilty. And so if that's the case and he's starting to do all this, I'm going to call it a court of public opinion, of course, because that's the whole purpose of launching the website. I don't know if he's trying to get the jury, like taint the jury, if he gets a retrial or whatnot, or on his appeal or whatever it may be. But I say if this is a miscarriage of justice, then we need to hold the appropriate people accountable, because at the end of the day, even though he probably will still have done some time because of the fact that he was a felon with a gun, he technically, by all accounts, got out to help Meg. So this may be a miscarriage of justice. And if so, I look forward to all the facts coming out, and preferably not in this website version of facts, but back in the court of law where it actually matters, because the website doesn't matter. And even if the jury pool is tainted, there's a possibility that actually will work against him. But that's just my thoughts.
Listen, if it comes out that Tory was innocent this entire time, I need all Black women to stand information behind Beyonce to support this brother, okay? Because y'all have to be accountable in that moment and appreciate the fact that a Black man was trying to protect y'all. Come on, man. I stand with Tory, I think. With that being said, I know one woman, or even like the relationship that Black women clearly are not standing for. And in this particular case, there's Black men who will join Black women, right? Because young man Travis Hunter, we all know that he got married to his sweetheart. I think her name is Leanna Lene, right? I mean, they look joyous, man. Puppy love. I don't know about y'all, but like looking at them as young people, I was like, oh my God, the love that they showed, like just that innocence that they were. So anyways, I mean, I know most of us as adults don't believe in that, but people were saying that like, yo, they ain't got no prenup. And apparently that caused consternation and concern for people whose business it is not. What are y'all thoughts in regards to young Travis? Well, before I get to that, before I forget, Jay, by the way, for those of you guys who didn't see the episode, Jay owes us money. Because SNM and I and anybody who understands young love, puppy love,
You bet on
relationships,
stupid
Black
and you
people,
won.
whatever, right?
You bet on stupid and you won. Go ahead, whatever.
We bet on the inevitable.
On the
And we
surest thing,
won.
and we won.
Okay,
It
whatever.
would almost be stupid not to bet on the inevitable. We saw this from a country mile.
Yeah.
Jay, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
So, matter of fact, so Jay, the loser in this particular bet, why don't you start first in regards to puppy love, poor planning? Like, I mean, how do you feel? Like, come on, man. Young love.
This is just
People on that
another
parade.
in a series of unfortunate decisions by a dumb dummy. I wish he could just watch the show or something, man. I know you watch it. Don't tune me off when I'm talking, Travis. I'm talking to you, sir. You listen. I've been there. Okay. I've been there. I've been in relationships. People were like, "Hey, that relationship isn't good for you," and I was like, "You know what? You just don't believe. You don't understand my love." And I dug in deeper and I poured more into it because I was going to show the world that they were wrong. And no, man, no. Many of us have had years, decades of scoping out gold diggers and women with nefarious purposes, and we can spot them, and we're telling you, you got one, and not in the good sense. All right. So, yeah, I don't, it's funny. I think she's one of the worst things that happened to his future, not only because of her really clingy nature, like he can't be in pictures with chicks without me, whatever. When technically she's the one that he should be watching, but not just that, like that she already has expressed her intention to impose her will upon his interaction with his fans based on their gender. That's going to help. That's going to hurt him in some sense, I do believe. But now this isn't even good money sense. Like you should have your pockets set and then do for her what you want to do for her, but have it set aside. To go into this with no prenup is just foolish, man. I mean, even if we are wrong and you guys end up happy, that's great. But on the small chance that the rest of the world or the majority of the reasonably thinking public is right and this chick is not good for you, she's not good for your brand, she's not good for your long-term future, build yourself in some safety. Why wouldn't you do that? That's just, it's ludicrous. And so I'm disappointed. I would be disappointed if I thought better of him. But he's already cost me money and he's cost me enough time, and I passed the mic.
Oh man, I love it. And make sure you just pass that money too while you passing the mic. Woo woo, catch up.
Food
It's
stamps.
on my IG, by the way. Let me stop. But
Maybe twice as much then, if that's the case.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If you go to the food stamps,
Because that
better double up.
And we can't be talking about that on live. That's like
You're
fraud
right.
or something. Damn it. Shit.
Not to buy food with it.
You know? So I support Jay's stance in this. I'm actually confused as to why in the hell he didn't get a prenup. I appreciate the fact that he loved her so much and that he doubled down because he did not like how she was being treated. As a matter of fact, when she came out, she was actually booed. But recently, and so he was like, babe, I got you no matter what, just like you had me no matter what. I'm gonna double down on this and show you how much I love you by not having this prenup in place. And I think prenups are great. I think it's great for average Joes, right? If you average Joe got something. So I think it should be a way of life of doing prenups point blank period. In this case, he coming with a whole lot of wealth and she ain't coming with nothing. This is clearly the case of somebody not bringing anything to the table, where we have so many men asking Black women in particular, what you bringing to the table? And here we got this woman who ain't bringing shit. And as a matter of fact, to make matters worse, there is videos where it kind of looked like, besides the fact that she said she didn't like him initially, she still don't like him. Because if you notice, she danced closer on strangers in the house party than she did with him at the wedding. And so, but that, I don't know. I say good luck to him. I'm happy to see what's happening and good luck. So that's where I'm going to stand right there, is good luck. And I appreciate this young love. And may he not be walking into a trap. But we already know he's in the trap. She was like cheese and he was the mouse. And so, good luck, sir.
You know, my God. For as cynical as y'all sound, I was about to get into my cynical bag because I'm cynical, but I realize my cynical is different than y'all cynical, right? Because my cynical allows me to still have hope. You know what I'm saying? Like, we sitting here, we don't know these people. We don't know this girl, right? These are young people. We forgot what it was like to be young, how serious everything was once upon a time, right? Like, okay, sure, she was out there twerking, I guess, at some party. She's at a wedding. She knows people are looking. You know, she might be a little bashful or whatever, right? She's dressed up, right? We just be judging from our own perspective. Now, listen, I'll get this out the way quick. I agree with y'all from a financial planning standpoint. Okay, fine, right? Yes, get a prenup. Hopefully he can get a postnup. You dig what I'm saying? I mean, he's just coming into some serious money. Yes, he was making NIL money. That shit gets bust down or whatever. So we can't pretend like, oh yeah, he might get $5 million, but in truth, he might only really see about 2 of that. And he got to bust that down with everybody else, including his mama and them, and everybody else who has like obligations, right? So now she's the newest one. Right? So it's like, I act like there aren't people already who feel like they are entitled, right? And so now she's his wife, right? And if she bears some children and they have a fruitful love and union, I mean, who are we? I hope that they make fools out of all of us that are old and cynical. You get what I'm saying? Because we be ascribing a lot of things to young people and we forgot what it was like to be young. So I'm going to take more of a positive note on this one, right? Because even if he does lose his money, you got guys who got prenups, who done been in the league and left the league and they were still broke, right? If he's going to be broke, he going to be broke just because he going to be broke. He making poor choices, right? That's going to show out through and through. There are people, matter of fact, Russell Wilson, I think his name was, right? Didn't he get married to a white girl and then eventually shit didn't work out over there? You dig what I'm saying? And then eventually he got married to a black. So, and nobody ain't tripping about that. You feel what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is that there's hope for young Travis. He's young. He might have some heartbreak, and that's fine. And you know what? Yes, his heartbreak might cost him more than the rest of us, but guess what? We all been through it. You know what I'm saying? And God forbid he got to go through it. So I'm going to tip my cap to young Nick. Yeah, the rest of y'all can talk that talk. But I'm going to, just like I was right about this happening, I hope I am right that their love endures. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to
Fuck
say,
y'all.
love,
She's going to
love,
leave
love.
him and tell all his secrets. Just watch. And then when she does, can I get my money back? You know what I'm saying?
No, you can't get your money back. That's a completely different. You have to make a new bet, sir. That is completely different.
All right.
Don't be
Well, I
trying
bet
to
she's the most
renege.
expensive beard ever. All right, go ahead.
What? Not you
Wow.
calling.
Wow.
Wow. Now that was unexpected.
Wow.
So
I mean, but okay, hold on now. Okay, but if that was the case, then what's the problem then?
Because you don't write a blank check. Dude, don't write a
on,
blank check. Write that shit, write that in.
So you gonna try to tell somebody else the value of their, situation and how they value someone who can hold that type of secret and show up for them a certain type of way?
That's
You
what
put
we
a
do
number on
every
that?
week. That's what we do every week. That's what we do every week. And I'm doing it to Travis right now. And I'm telling him, dude, you should have budgeted for that.
I'm saying, assuming that you're correct, right? I'm going to go down this road with you, right? If you're talking about a beard, I'm saying that for him, like in a marriage, maybe that's something that's so important to him. This all makes sense. You just unlocked it. I think you defeat your own point. Right?
No,
At
no, no, no,
first,
no,
I
no.
probably would agree with you. It don't make sense. But if what you're saying is true, then the question becomes, can you put a certain value or a number on that type of secret, right? That type of lifestyle, right? That type of support, right? SNM, you see where I'm going with this or no?
Well, I see where you're going, but I'm still surprised that you said beard because I ain't read the beard situation at all. I just read
Me
stupid.
neither, but I'm
Like,
like, I'm down. You want to go down this road? I'm
Go
down.
back and watch his videos.
yeah. Well,
Go back and watch him off the
I think
field.
he
Just
may
watch
be
him,
on
watch his
a
mannerisms.
spectrum
Just watch
or
him.
something. I
But
think
it's
he may
whatever.
be on a spectrum or something, and he appreciate that she respects and he found love, even though he appears, and I'm not diagnosing him that way, but he appears to be slightly on the spectrum. You know,
So he's either beardy or on a spectrum. Okay, let's move on to the
I'm
next
just saying.
story.
So look,
You're not doing no
so
favors,
you know,
SNM.
prenups. I support prenups for him, and I also hope Cardi B and Offset had a prenup in place too, because apparently Offset, I don't think they did though, because Offset has requested spousal support. And I had to go see what was up with that because you know Offset's been a little BAN ever since Cardi finally let somebody else plug that play, and so I am curious. I was curious, and it turns out Cardi's worth over $100 million, and Offset's only worth about 32 million. I say only like I'm worth 32 million. He's clearly still a lot, right? And so, with that being said, what do you guys think, first of all, about Offset coming after spousal support? Even though he concurs that the children, he's not asking for was it child support? Because the children will maintain primary residence with Cardi and they will, but he is asking for joint custody and spousal support. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, I love that for him. Oh, I love that for him. Listen, the bondage of these stereotypical male roles that we're supposed to play for some bullshit ass reason, right? So if Cardi is worth 100 million, right, and he's worth 30, that means that while they were married, he became accustomed to a different lifestyle, right? And so he is entitled to maintain that lifestyle post the marriage because he became accustomed to that. Now, to the rest of us, we want to say 30 million versus 100 million. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? It's called $70 million, right? In terms of access. Now, on top of that, if you're thinking long term here, okay, cool. If I have to pay child support, but you're paying spousal support, maybe it offsets. I mean, come on, this shit just writes
Oh, wow.
itself, right?
Oh, wow.
So so I'm like, you know what? Offset, I see what you're doing, my guy. Now, some people might say Offset is, acting a little BAN-ish, right? Because she's now with Stefan Diggs. You ain't dig into that SNL, right? Apparently, Stefan is, right? Because there's videos of her twerking, other women twerking. I ain't gonna hold you. I mean, I saw the video. I'm like, it must be nice. You know what I mean? Too bad my parents didn't invest in my football career, right? But anyway, right? So, I mean, I was sitting there thinking like Offset might be tripping a little bit because he's like, damn, you with this nigga? Right? And I heard he a sniper from the streets. You know what I'm talking about? Like he outside apparently. So, I mean, I could see how Offset is a little offset in regards to off kilter,
Upset.
in regards to seeing, Shorty catching them deep balls from old boy. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, she's a wide receiver. So I could see how that would make him want to throw a flag on the play, right? And see if he get a couple of extra dollars of offer. So I'm not mad about that. But I am interested in what the fuck that was that Stefan Diggs was passing that girl in the video. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, what was that? You know what I'm talking about? With the Diddy case and all this talk about Tussie, I'm like, what? I mean, how much is that? Where do you get that for anyways? But you better watch out. There's so much here. I'm gonna stop there. Hey, Jay, what's your thoughts on this?
So it's weird. I'm having an out of body experience because I think I'm listening to the king of there's a double standard, get used to it, espousing a position that says what's good for one is good for all, which is weird because that's usually what I say, but it's fine. I'm gonna switch it too. So let me say it like this. Man, look, dog, if you're not as big a star as her, okay, and you ain't getting much money as her, okay, that does not entitle you to go get her money, bruh. If you wanted to have a piece of what she was doing in her life, you should have been there in her life, right? Now, I think he may be a little salty because she went and got somebody who we know, going with the football analogy, does not stay in the pocket. He scrambles and he gets around. And Offset's like, wow, this is what I got in trouble for. You know what I mean? The coach fined me. The coach benched me. I had to beg me put back on the team at one of her concerts because I wouldn't stay in the pocket. Now she got freaking Mike Vick over here and scrambling all around and she doesn't know what's happening, right? But I think here's the situation. I think he is salty. I think what he missed was at least that dude came up front with what he was about and how he was going to move in this space. So at least she could say, hey, let's move like that together. Offset came on some, oh, I love you, I'm going to be your Prince Charming, and then he was doing the dick stuff in the back. I'm sorry. That didn't come out right. But anyway, he was doing some old crazy stuff behind her back, and that's why I caught up to him. So I understand why he's doing it, because women have done it to men for so long. But at the same time, men always go, look, I'm done with you. Our lives are separate. Why are you still in my pocket? If they are co-parenting, then he doesn't get child support. Then he need to go out like he been doing as a man and make his bread as a man. If he wanted to make Cardi bread, he should have stayed with Cardi B. Now get on, bruh.
Yeah, I'm just going to co-sign. So I was going to add the whole Stefan Diggs thing in a little bit, but I like how you did that. So let's go ahead and say this. He basically got upset because she was being dug out by somebody that wasn't him. And while he is literally the definition to me of a bitter baby mom, oops, daddy, I get confused because we talk about bitter baby mama so much, but here's an example of the bitter baby daddy because she has moved on. And so now he's having all type of consternation and problems. And he's in there plotting to see what he can do to throw monkey wrenches into her day and her plan and so forth, like a BAN. And so I support the fact that this whole equal opportunity thing, as far as him requesting spousal support, sure. But spousal support for what? Because in most cases, the spousal support, I'm going to say, hold on. In most cases, the spousal support was normally given because the wife not only made significantly less, but also, and he does make significant, after I saw the $70 million difference, but in most cases, they allow them to go to like the stay-at-home wives and stay-at-home moms and so forth. And even if they give it to somebody who's working, I actually haven't seen, but this is just anecdotal, right? I haven't really seen too many who got it for if they were working as the wife was working full-time and so forth, unless it was child support. But anyways, either way it goes, I appreciate the fact that he said, you know what, I'm going to embrace my role of a bitter baby daddy and throw monkey wrenches every chance I get, because I need everybody to see that men too can be little bitches. Men too can play this role. And since we're in that time frame, well, why not, sir? Go ahead and do you. As far as Stephen, I will say this. One of the things that Cardi said was she apparently left the party after the pink stuff was passed out, or the lady took the pink stuff, because they said she was actually upset that he was flirting with other women. And she was like, you're flirting with other women in front of me. If you're going to be my man, then you my man. That means you don't flirt with other women. So I don't know if Cardi B needs to go ahead and get down with the clown, or recognize what world she's operating in and see that that maybe she replaced Offset with another version of Offset, like Jay alluded to. And I think that may be an issue. If she don't want somebody like that, she need to go find that dude who work at McDonald's or Home Depot, or somewhere that's not necessarily, it don't have to be that extreme, but somewhere that's not actually in this type of arena where he's going to have women throwing themselves at him all the time.
She's at a boat party, right? She was literally, I guess, gyrating on him with two other bitches. What the fuck? So I don't know if I believe all that. Plus, I think old girl like girls too. So it just depends, right? I mean, this is they're both snipers. I don't think she's, naive in regards to who the fuck she's dealing with. But I want to go back to something Jay said, because I think that was some bullshit that he said earlier in regard to double standards, right? You can believe in the principle that, yes, double standards exist, right? And that, yes, people can benefit from it as a pragmatic approach. Doesn't mean that you necessarily co-sign every double standard, right? It certainly doesn't mean that. But the idea that a guy can utilize the court system to his benefit, I don't know how that somehow speaks against this idea of double standard. Women do it all the time, except in many cases, because of the double standards, it works in their benefit. And in this particular case, I don't know that it will in his, but if he's making the financial case that she makes significantly more money, it just makes mathematical sense that, hey, if you're $70 million up, why the fuck am I even still paying child support? So I was giving him kudos for, utilizing the court system in such a way that at the very least he can still be an active father and keep some coins in his pockets, right? So, I mean, I get it, right? But the funny thing is, even though you said that, and S&M said what she said, both of you guys tried to attack masculinity, right? And I dig it, right? Because he's a bitch ass nigga because he wants to utilize the court systems to his benefit, especially financially. I get that, right? Or because he's a man, he got to keep whatever. No, he keeps whatever he's allowed to walk away with, depending on what state recognizes their marriage and depending on where it's filed, right? So listen, people play the game, bro. I don't hate on whoever plays the game. If people can benefit based off of their positions, I could laugh. I'm like, damn, I wouldn't play it that way. But the game is the fucking game, right? So when women play it, cool, tip of the cap. Yeah, it's a double standard. But in rare cases, like Kendu did, right? In rare cases where the men did actually have some fucking value to the woman's value and did in fact earn to walk away with some, because I get what you're saying, S&M, in regards to that. But you're talking to the same person where if I'm in a marriage and she is a housewife, I don't mind giving up half. I've had this conversation with my wife because I can see the value in what she brought to my life to where she'd be worthy of that. The funny thing to me is that some of y'all, women folk, don't recognize that same value that you hope men have in y'all. Somehow when they actually see it on the other side, all of a sudden they're bitch ass niggas for doing so, right? As if he somehow didn't benefit her career, especially early on, because he's from the Migos. So it wasn't like he wasn't a bigger artist at one fucking point in time. So when you want to talk about what he about to deserve, his involvement with her was also a career move for her too. The fuck are y'all talking about, right? Y'all want niggas to walk away broke because of this fake bullshit of masculinity. Nah, niggas just got to be smart. And I'm going to give kudos to that brother if he found a way to level the financial playing field. Yes, my brother, that's being manly to me. You know what I'm saying? Fuck what y'all talking about. Fuck all that bullshit that y'all was spewing. Go Offset. I might actually buy his he got a new album.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not. That's my point. You're actually not. And you know it.
What you mean? What you mean?
I mean, come on, man. Nobody has been...
Listen, bro, let me tell you right now. If I was him, I'd do the same fucking thing. What we talking about?
No, I'm talking about buying the album. I'm saying as far as like star and who's going to be making money going on, it's going to be Cardi. It's not going to be him. That's why he's trying to sue her for this check.
Oh, as far as going forward.
Yeah, as far as going forward.
Cool, but he's still up 30, bro. Who cares? If he can't manage 30, he gonna blow whatever he get from her. I'm only attacking the point of whether or not him doing what he's doing makes him less manly or a bitch ass nigga between the two of y'all. And I'm pushing back on both of y'all, saying that those things by themselves. Now, if he does other stuff that makes him a BAN, absolutely. And to the Stefan Diggs point, he's a man, bro. Like, yes, he's gonna probably feel some type of way. It's not like Stefan Diggs is a slouch. You dig what I'm saying? Now, for him, if he know that old boy's a sniper, he's probably thinking, okay, you know what? She's going to be through him soon enough, or he's going to do her dirty soon enough, and she's going to come running back, or whatever. There's different games that these motherfuckers be playing at that level, so I get there could be things that makes him that. But for the sake of him just trying to get a couple of dollars, man, get off that.
So first, I want to clarify something. So I'm calling him that because of the totality of everything that he has done made him a ban to me. It's the totality, and this is just the icing on the cake of him going after. And he only went after once he saw that Cardi was fully in this relationship with Stefan. Now it's like, oh, let me go after this now. And so otherwise, I think he was hoping that she run back to him, but it's because she's moving on. So it's the totality of everything that he has done that make him a bitch ass. And he's not paying child support because she currently has the primary custody. And even then, it'll be joint custody where neither one paid child support to the other. And so there is no child support involved, by the way. I just wanted to make sure that issue was clear. But at the end of the day, I wanted to clarify, it's the totality of his actions that made him this.
What I'm saying is they have a divorce proceeding, right? So at some point in time, things get filed. So it may be coincidental that we're hearing about this spousal support around the time that, yes, we see her outside dating Stefan Diggs or whatever. All right, cool. But that doesn't mean that in the process, he was not going to bring this up this entire time. Right? I mean, people knew that she was a bigger star at the particular point in time. I don't even see what the problem is. Like, if he is basically saying, like, yo, she's making significantly more money than me. We were together for a particular period of time. I helped support her in any type of significant way. I don't see how that somehow makes him less manly because he wanted to dig back in her fucking pockets. You dig what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
I'm not saying he's less manly. I'm just saying I think people should take their toys and go. I don't, all this get back, getting their pockets to make them hurt. All that, it's small. That's all I'm saying. And I don't matter if you're a man
if
or a
he get
woman.
10, 15 million, that's not small.
The money's not small, but his intention is.
So
Right.
it's interesting that you say that because his last tweet was, oh, we should just go our separate ways and live our own lives and let this shit be. And then immediately after that, that's when he asked for spousal support. And so it's interesting that you should say that because he literally was like, oh, we should just live our own life and let this shit be the way it's going to be. And so, okay,
Shit
now I can ask your
happens.
questions.
Yeah.
Shit
He sees
happens.
Stefan with a big bag of cinnamon Altoids, and now he's jealous. He's like, I want my
Shit
breath to smell
happens.
that fresh.
So, and shit happens. She ain't divorced yet. Get the paperwork done before you step outside with another nigga if you know you're dealing with the BAN according to what SNM is talking about. So be smart about what the fuck you're doing. She gotta be outside to enjoy herself necessarily. So yeah, you gotta deal with that shit now. And what? The fuck y'all talking about?
Man.
This is a divorce. The shit is messy. Both of them have been toxic and messy this entire fucking time. So what are we expecting from them? Okay, so yeah, he gonna go out there trying to get a couple dollars, and I am not mad at him.
Okay.
Now you know who I am mad at though. To be honest with you, Remy and motherfucking Papoose. Okay, I am mad at both of them because I thought better of both of them. I think many of us thought better than that because oh my God, what happened to Black Love? Just like almost like my voice. What the fuck happened to it? Right? Because they were solid. Or so we thought until recently, where all of these receipts, I don't know to feel like, were they a fraud this entire fucking time? Or was this a really great relationship that went horribly bad? Like, what the fuck? They put us in the group chat unnecessarily. I mean, I don't know what to make of this. I mean, to be honest with you, you know, I didn't know Pap's music a lot, but I felt like he would stand up. Remy, I mean, you know, I leaned back off of her for the last few years. So, I mean, I don't even know what to say, y'all. What's y'all thoughts on this, man? Black love, black fake black love? I don't even know.
It's like a bad workplace romance, man. Wasn't he like a battle rapper before he was like whatever? Isn't she like the promoter of battle rappers and stuff? I think it's a bad work, you know?
No, he was more than just a battle rapper. He was signed back in the day. His career kind of stalled a little bit, but
and he became a battle rapper.
Well, no, the new dude that she's with, I think
he's a
is the battle rapper,
sure.
but I don't, yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So my point. So I reason why I confused him with the battle rapping crowd, which is not a bad crowd, a lot of talented people there, is because I do recall when the story first broke, because somebody went off on the guy who was sleeping with Remy Ma about the situation. That's how it all, you know, hit the fan and whatever. And I think Papoose wasn't that far off when the situation was blowing. Anyway, so I'm assuming he stood there quietly and he knew it was bad and he just stayed in it, which is kind of what I'm reading from as I'm looking over the relationship and the receipts. It's a lot. Honestly, I can't process it all. I just go in, look a little bit, give me a little grab and go. The gist of it, I think, is this. I think that Papoose is and man, I ain't gonna have no friends as I do this. I think Papoose is probably like a beta male, right? He's a beta, and then Remy Ma is more like a little alpha, you know what I'm saying? He was content with that. And then she wanted somebody who was a little more alpha than his beta was. And I don't know if this dude fit the bill, but you know, she went and started tricking off. She wasn't really impressed by his manlyhood, and she wasn't really moved and felt like she needed to stay and respect him or be subjective or whatever, be submissive or whatever. So then he goes and finds another alpha female. Clearly, Clarissa Shields is nobody's beta anything, right? And he found somebody who could whoop Remy Ma, who probably looking at him and looking at her, she might have been beating him up. I know I got a lot of things in there that ain't nobody proving, but it just when I look at him is what I see. I see a man who looks like he's been abused, and now he's in a better relationship with somebody that can protect him and make him feel secure. And so,
wow.
I really. I didn't like the way Remy emasculated him, even though I'm kind of doing the same thing right now in a joking way. But, you know, I think that kind of suggests to me what the tone was in their relationship, right? Her level of respect. Now, I know what you're saying. When people fall apart, they get disrespectful. They get flip out the mouth. They say stuff, this and this and that. I will add to that, though, when adults fall apart, if they ever loved each other, they should still be able to respect each other. But they never respected each other. That's what comes out the first when they start to separate. I think that's what we're seeing here. It's a dearth of respect. And I think he had enough and he moved on to somebody he thought would give him that. And you know what I'm saying? If I had to choose 22, I'd probably take Clarissa too. Because, I mean, she cleaned up well and she can fight. So, you know what I'm saying? Now we in these streets. You know what I'm saying? Dare you to say something. What? So go ahead.
Not you saying that he basically was weak and he needed a woman to fight his old woman. He needed her battle skills. That's messed up.
That is messed up.
That's messed up.
You wouldn't say it to Papoose face.
Because I was going to say,
I wouldn't say it to Carissa's face.
You would say, "Oh, that's crazy. You wilding out for real now."
It's just Jay. It's just Jay on all socials, Mr. Goodwoods. Yeah, go ahead, Cynthia.
Give him the smoke. We ain't want none of
Indoxy.
this smoke because he did throw them hands on what's his name, Captain Easy or Easy the Captain or whatever the
Easy the Block
name
Captain.
was. Yeah, he threw hands then. He was like, "You disrespected me," and so he apparently was down for the clown right then. So I think that I'm disappointed because, and I know it's weird that I'm disappointed because normally celebrity relationships, they come and go and so forth. But this was sold as the grand love story of a lifetime. And it was sold as a story. And the reason why I like this story was because usually it's the woman holding the man down, putting money on the man books when the man go to prison. And instead, we got an example of a man holding the woman down. For 8 years, he held her down. And then he get out. And before she even gets out, they get married on the phone. They have an incarceration marriage via the phone. I don't know how that worked, if it was three-way calling or what they did with, if it was a conference call in the courtroom. I don't know. But anyways, it's just the fact that this was an awesome love story. And you know what I think went wrong? When they went on Love and Hip Hop. I think whoever goes on any reality show, if there's any cracks in your marriage, that reality show is going to go ahead and just right through there. Just going right through there. And so I'm sad to see that it has gotten down to where it is now, where they're trading jabs, and it has come out, according to him, that she's been cheating the entire relationship, to include her gay for play while she was in prison. Apparently she had a girlfriend, allegedly, and now it's just all this stuff that's coming out that he was not happy. And then Remy stating that they haven't been together actually since 2022. They just kept up to the appearances. And so it kind of reminded me of like when Jada was like, "Hey, Will and I haven't been together for over 10 years. And it was like, what? Well, but we knew something, because you couldn't be having some young buck in your house and he's singing songs about him slapping them cheeks. And, so we knew something was there. But anyway, so with Papoose and Remy, I'm just sad to see that it went this way. And I truly believe that Love and Hip Hop was like the beginning of the downhill for them. And as she continued to blow up and he continued to fade into the background, because like he was a loving father. He was the primary caretaker for the child, right? For their daughter. And it was like, oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. He recognized his traditional role, or not his non-traditional role, not traditional, but his non-traditional role technically. And that's why when you shout out the fact that she was an alpha female, by all accounts, by him playing this role, I think they was redefining gender roles and everything. So I was all for the story. And to hear everything that's happening out now, it's like, oh, this is sad. And it's not just sad because they're trading, shots at each other and coming to blows, but it's because it was all a lie. It's basically what it sounds like now. It was all a lie. And so for people who hold celebrities up to a certain esteem and whatnot, I think that it just disillusioned more folks, because this was the so-called love story of a lifetime, and boom, nothing.
So I got to first push back on this alpha beta narrative, because I don't think that's what's happening here. And I'm also pushing back because there's many men who are in support of a wife who may be further in her career or doing certain things. And so when people say, oh, Black men aren't willing to do certain things around the home or whatever, or take care of the kids, and then you have a guy who's done that, then I want to focus on that more so, because I do think we run the risk of making it seem like men who are willing to take on certain roles, that automatically makes it seem like they're being a beta. Now, for anybody who's followed Papoose, right, at least in terms of how he's moved through the streets or in hip hop or whatever, I don't know that people would assume that he's a beta in that way, right? And I think he's one of those guys that tends to garner respect amongst men in his peer group, at least the way that I've seen people speak of him. So I don't know that that's necessarily relevant here, also because I try to understand where people are coming from. I think it's easy to lead with judgment because these are things that most of us would say that we would not do, right? But you also got to remember that Remy did spend years in prison. People go to jail and they come out differently, right? And they aren't the only ones who are affected by their incarceration, right? You have the people who are also on the outside. And so I'm sitting here trying to make sense of it all. And I do think I kind of have a little picture in my head of a man, I'm gonna start with him, who kind of committed himself to a relationship. And I think in committing himself to a relationship, he had principles that believe a stand-up person, a stand-up man. Yes, I know who I'm getting with. Yes, I'm marrying this woman who shot her friend allegedly, right? Or I guess not, because she was convicted for it. She spent X amount of time in prison. I know what she had to go through. So yes, she had to do some things with some other women or whatever. I understand all that. So she comes out of prison and I'm gonna love her and we're going to work through our issues until we're not, right? And so I do think sometimes people get committed not just to the relationship, but the idea of the relationship. And so when they had the whole Black love, that was a brand thing. That wasn't just something they were saying flippantly. That was something that I think Papoose was actively leading. And so I think for him, he had this vision, like we say we want men to have, like, vision of, okay, when she gets out of prison, we'll get her career back on track. He was alleging that he helped her with her music, right? You know what I mean? Had the reality show on deck. I get your point, S&M. I probably kind of agree with you in general. But for him, he's like, yo, we're going to put this brand together. We're going to have the golden child. So, I mean, I think he was doing all the things that we would want a man to do necessarily. Now, at some point in time, if she wasn't about that life anymore, or if something happened or something changed, we can surmise, right? Then that's cool. And then maybe for him, now he's stuck trying to figure out what he's going to do. He got a kid, he got a business they're trying to build. So in his mind, he's like, yo, maybe I can just amicably, we can back up off this. But the truth is, to Jay's point earlier, this became public because she was out here moving recklessly, right? And so I think a lot of times if the roles were flipped, it was a dude that was out here moving recklessly and then leaving the situation behind. We would judge it differently. But I guess because Papoose is the one on the other end, we can look at it a certain type of way. And I think it was funny because I was having this conversation actually yesterday that people were like, well, why should we give him grace? I mean, please point out to me what you thought he should have done differently if in his mind he was being a stand-up nigga, right? If in his mind, for the most part, he has been a stand-up nigga, right? And I think it's okay for if a stand-up nigga gets ran over by a chick who has not been so stand-up, then that could be the case. I don't know if that's the case here. Then it's okay to point out the fact that, hey, she's a wild-ass motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Without it necessarily having to, emasculate him or take away from his alpha male position. Now, would I be in that situation? I would hope not. But I just try to understand how people arrive to it. I do think there's lessons that we can learn that sometimes when you mix your business with your relationship, that sometimes you find yourself staying a lot longer because you have more entangled and more invested. I think that could be a part here. And at some point, something went really, really wrong because the way she's responding tells me that he has some culpability in regards to how things have been handled up to this point. And in that case, I think there's some responsibility on both sides for sure. But this is just sad because you don't want to see Black love played out like this. You know what I'm saying? Two people, two adults should be able to amicably move on and find a way to just move on and cherish the love that they had and let that love show. Because to me, that would be the time that love needs to show the most. You know what I'm saying? When things are like not the greatest. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I just want to push back on one thing. Like my assertion that he is a beta male is not meant to demean him. There are all sorts of males. There's alphas and betas, and there's even sigmas. You know what I mean? And although we tend to think of them in a hierarchy, they're just the different ways that you present. Sometimes a man likes to play Batman to the Robin to his woman's Batman. You know what I mean? And that's okay because they still out there solving their crimes and doing what they got to do. You know what I mean? So all respect. I personally am not an alpha man. I am, by divine nine, standards, but not by whatever. I think if I was to clarify myself, I'd be a Sigma. And that's definitely not a fraternity I joined. So anyway, long story short, no shade to Papoose for being a beta. Any of you betas out there, you know what I mean? Hey, I don't think it's a hierarchy. We just move different. And that's good. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say that I actually wasn't demeaning. I was saying that he took on these non-traditional roles in the way the society is set up. That was actually giving kudos to him. That's why I was upset with the way the relationship played out, because this dude was upstanding by all accords, right? And he did the things that most folks don't do, or some folks, because you said that there are more who do, so that some folks don't do, but he did it in the public eye. And that's why I loved about it. And that's why it was this great love story that ended up going into these jabs between each other. And I'm going to say Remy was wrong. Like, I thought Remy was wrong from the start because she was moving recklessly and she got with somebody who didn't know the rules. I'm going to call it the rules, because he put it on Front Street at a battle that he was basically slamming the boss. So I just think that, so I just wanted to clarify that I actually I do believe he deserves grace because he was doing these things. I actually believe 100% that Remy is at fault in this relationship and the way it turned out. And while he may have, and I'm going to say that he may have responsibility in how she may have been moving, right? In regards to if there was some drama or static behind the scenes and whatnot that we're not aware of. But in the court of public opinion, this dude was everything that most Black women in particular asked for. He was supportive. He had the vision. He was uplifting. He was a full-time father. As far as when I say full-time, it's because he was everybody, Black fathers, I want to go ahead and put that out there, are more involved in the child's life when they're in the child's life. But in his case, he was the primary caretaker. And so by all accords, he was what we asked for, and she shitted all over that. And that's where my problem was.
Well, so, okay, so I'm going to just push back slightly, right? Because I do get your point in regards to non-traditional or traditionally men didn't move a certain type of way, but it's not like he out here cooking and necessarily just cleaning. I mean, he got a couple of dollars and he has support when it comes to taking care of his kids. So I don't want to go too far in regards to painting it out to make it seem like he's a single dad taking care of all his responsibilities of the home and all of that, right? It's a different kind of life, right? So that's just want to say that. That's number one. Number two, I still got to push back on the beta thing. I'm not saying that it's an issue with being a beta. I'm saying that I think if he was still leading, right, that wouldn't make him a beta. If he was still the one that's pushing forth the narrative, he was the one that was pushing forth the branding, if he was the one that was pushing for the reality show deals, if he was the one that was basically managing, et cetera, like, that doesn't mean to me, I wouldn't be a beta. To me, a beta is somebody who's more passenger seat. You know, he has a high-strung, hyperactive person, and that person's constantly leading, and that person's in the hey, I'm here for the ride, whatever you want, babe. Matter of fact, Kamala husband was a beta, right? Kamala Harris's husband. I don't get that. That to me was beta. So I'm not saying that, there's a difference and that there's a judgment there. I'm just saying I don't think Papoose was that because I feel like there was more there. The other thing I want to push back on too is because Clarissa, you mentioned Clarissa, like just because she's a boxer doesn't mean that like she doesn't submit, bro. Like just because she comes across a certain type of way, I get how it is so easy for us to look at her and be like, and think she's a certain thing. But as a Black man who has dealt with women who come across a certain type of way and seen them be completely the opposite, I'm here to tell you, my brother, it is completely possible that he is still an alpha in that relationship too, right? Because in the relationship context, women be looking for a strong enough dude to submit to. And I got to tell you that I do believe that she feels like she found a dude strong enough to submit to. Because Clarissa does not give me the type of energy that she just want to be hard all the time or that she would be with a soft-ass nigga. You dig what I'm saying? I don't get that from her. But I see how we can look at that and be like, oh, okay. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think sometimes we as people do make judgments, right? I mean, to be honest, we gave Remy a lot of grace. Like, what exactly did she do since we've known her to show us for her to be a certain type of way, right? She shot her friend supposedly over a couple $1,000s. She spent some prison time doing that, right? She had a couple of hits lean back. And so now all this dirty laundry is coming out. And while it makes them both look bad, right? But it definitely makes her look horrible because, again, what else do we have from her to show like, oh, at least she got some banging albums, right? I mean, she got a couple of great singles. You know what I'm saying? So I get, and it's funny because when I watch her videos, I get that she is hurt. I think emotionally, she is the one lashing out. Because, you can tell when a woman's lashing out, when they be looking for a reason to lash out. Like, let that girl say my name. Bitch, she didn't even say nothing negative for real, for real. You was just looking for a reason to pop off while claiming you've moved on. Right, which is what's also befuddling to me, right? So we're seeing this toxic bullshit being played out in real time, and it's making them both look bad. But I will say this, though. We got to stop putting our little baskets into these fake Black love shits, right? Because they get exposed sometimes. So I think we can mythically believe in Black love, right? Or through our own self-expression. But pinning it on people who are human beings, especially celebrities, especially C-list, D-list celebrities going through, what they're going through, man, yeah. I think we can back up off that once and for all. What say y'all?
I'm laughing because you downgraded them from B to C to D.
Yes, he did. He did.
I was like, Nick throwing some shade there.
I mean, if battle rap is your claim to fame at this point, and I mean more so for Remy than Papoose, then what are we talking about?
Well, we do have another D-list celebrity on the docket then.
Hey, matter of fact, we'll call this episode the D-list.
So speaking of D-list celebrities, We have Jess Hilarious in the hot seat. And the reason why she's in the hot seat is not for her comedy, that's for damn sure. But it was
Wow,
because she made it was because she made a comment that only women can have babies. And so this was met with some pushback on the Breakfast Club from their guest, Lene Vanny. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Is it Vanny? Vanay? I feel like I should do anyways. And she basically, I know, right? She basically said anyone with a uterus can have a baby. And even if they don't identify as a woman, if they have a uterus, they can have a baby, which Jess did agree and said, yes, if you have a uterus, you can have a baby because you're a woman, basically is what she was saying. And so this met with some more pushback from like Laverne Cox and a whole community of saying that she's probably that she was being transphobic in her comment, in her statement. And Jess was standing 10 toes down on this, that yes, you're still a woman if you got a uterus, regardless of what you identify. And so this actually triggered an entire conversation about when does it become about womanhood versus being transphobic. Can you affirm and uplift womanhood without being transphobic? And how far have we gotten where we can just say that, yeah, they had a uterus, so therefore a man had a baby because they identify as a man? I guess that's the way it would be. Was that a trans man? That's a trans man. But anyways, moving on. The whole question I'm asking you guys, because I realized I just befuddled it a little bit, is that what do you think about Jess Hilarious statement about women can have babies because they have a uterus, and that being her superpower, that because she can have a baby, and also the pushback from the LGBTQ community pertaining to her statement?
Man, that's a hot button issue right there. Here's why I think it's so hard to really discuss and really come to some sort of consensus. I think our language, our terminology has been so conflated at this point. I mean, we went from having men and women to then having trans men and then having trans women, then having trans women say, I'm woman just like the regular women. So now the regular women, birth women, need to call themselves cis women because we're all women. And I think what Jess was trying to do was to redraw these lines of distinction and say, okay, I am, she was defining her womanhood by her ability to bring forth kids, or her biological structure being so that she could birth children, having a uterus instead of, let's say, testes and whatever. And the pushback to that was, if I remember correctly, it was like, no, anybody with a uterus can have a baby, even if it's a male. And I think the person was saying that to suggest that if someone was trans male, then they are still have a uterus, and that defeats Jess's superpower. But I think the conversation she was trying to have was, she was trying to make a distinction that says, in order for her identity of womanhood to really resonate with her, she draws strength from the fact that she both has a uterus and presents as a female, and she's saying that makes her a woman. Okay, and that's it's hard to tell people what they're not. Right? It's hard to tell people how that they aren't however they feel, or that they don't feel whatever they feel. The problem then comes is, how do we determine who has the ownership right over these terms? And as these terms are redefined, we try to redefine ourselves, or find new words for ourselves, or find ways to distinguish ourselves from terms that we used to associate with that may no longer clearly define us. I think that's where she was with that. Right. So it's, for instance, I ran into a guy. This is going to sound like a digression, but I don't think it is. I ran into a guy, and he said that he missed the time when Black people were called Negroes. And I was, I'm from Mississippi. I was like, I don't have good feelings about the word Negro and then how it was used and when it was used or whatever. And he said, listen, no, he says, when we were Negroes, we had our businesses, we had Black Wall Street, we had this, we had that. There was a different kind of culture when we were Negroes. And I was like, And then I thought about how Black people are continuously renamed every so often, from Blacks to African Americans to Negroes to whatever. And I thought about it in terms of how, as a person moves in that space, when people put you into some sort of larger group and say, you're monolithic in the sense, or you're one big group, then you do try to find ways then to distinguish yourself. For instance, and I'll say this in our land, I grew up as a Pentecostal, okay? Apostolic Pentecostal, Holy Ghost, speaking in tongues, whatever. That's how I grew up. I don't think that a lot of Pentecostals or apostolics would like for me to go around saying I'm Pentecostal or apostolic. They would feel like they need a distinction between me and them because my views or how I express it may be so different that they don't feel we should be sharing the same term. I think that's where she was coming from. And I think until we have the conversation about what we're just going to call people, until women, cis women, I guess, are able to go back to just being called women and feeling like they can stand on that and that is something exclusive that they own, I think this culture clash that we're having will continue. I don't think she tried to hurt anybody. I think she was trying to just stand on her little square, carve out her space, and say why she felt she could still define herself in this way.
I got to tell you, I am so glad you went first, because you took such a great academic, thoughtful approach to the conversation. Like you did. So it's like, yay.
Thanks.
because like I get to be dumb on this one, right? First of all, I want to say that a womb is a superpower. Y'all should already know how I feel about the fact that, I mean, come on, man, we would not be here without them. I mean, I don't understand how we downplay the blessing, just everything that is. It begins and ends with that for me, and just in terms of like just the miracle of life, the role that women play in that. I mean, it's not a superficial thing. You know what I mean? Like this is something that I don't know, man. Like you're born, your body evolves, you have things happen, you have a window of time, and then it's just like just the grand design of it all. I'm not trying to get religious or anything like that, but to me, it is a miracle. And I think we just take that for granted. Like it's just something like you could just put on. But so to me, when I saw it, I didn't even understand the context. I was like, oh shit, she pregnant again? That's what I thought initially when I first saw it. I was like, damn, girl, weren't you just pregnant? I mean, superpower or. But anyways, so for me, I agree with that. It is a superpower. It is a blessing. But as far as a larger conversation, it's far simpler than that to me, right? I am women, hear me roar. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, if you've been a woman for all your life, right? And that's all you've known, that this is woman. This is what a woman is, right? And I get that things evolve over time. And then a group comes along and says, hey, I want to co-op. I want to be a part of this thing too, right? So you got to figure out how to make it make sense. And so I get that, right? So you have one group that's happy with how things are. Hey, I women hear me roar. And you have another group who wants to change things because they want to exist. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? In principle, but what happens is there becomes infringements that happen in this kind of like pluralistic world that we live in. So the woman is just going about her business like, hey, I'm a woman just doing my thing, right? She's not hurting nobody. There's no intent there, right? But then the other person who's like, hey, cis woman, and the other woman's like, well, why are you calling me that? You know what I'm saying? And that woman is like, what the fuck is that? And immediately she feels some type of way. I understand why she'd feel some type of way. Like, why does her worldview have to change? Even though she didn't, right? I do get that we have to figure out how we make space for each other. And so maybe that's where the crux of the conversation is, right? Because the irony for me in all this is that people who want tolerance seem to not want to give it sometimes. Like when I hear people have this conversation for real, I hear women say, hey man, I'm a woman. I respect, hey, you want to do your thing, but you ain't this. Right? There's things I have to go through. There's a way that my worldview says that biologically, whatever justifications, right, that this is my position and I'm not going to come up off it just to make you comfortable, right? Because I do think there's a point where you have to stop asking somebody to discomfort themselves for someone else's comfort. I think that's a real conversation that we got to be able to have for real. Right? Because if I feel like my wife is a woman and I may not identify that a man or a person who was formerly a male or whatever, I can choose to not acknowledge that. But in what practical way does that affect my life for real? Right? So most of the time, if I'm being honest, I just am polite. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really cost me much to pretend live in their world if it somehow provides them some value without taking much from mine. But I'm a man who's saying this, right? Most of the time, we're not really concerned about trans men for real, because there really is no danger to us, unlike how I can see it being different for women, right? When you talk about competing in sports, for example. right? There's some legitimate concerns that I think women can have in this conversation, or people can have without it being transphobic. And that's really the point I really wanted to make at the end of all this. Like, it becomes hard to have this conversation that just because somebody has a difference of opinion, you want to throw a phobia on somebody. No, motherfuckers ain't scared of that shit. Sorry. But a person may feel like, hey, man, I don't want to live in y'all fucking world that doesn't make them transphobic. Right? Y'all gotta look up words, yo. Phobia has a fear on the back end. Now, if somehow people were fearful that women are going to be replaced by by trans women, okay, I can see your point, but that's not what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Because I think most women are pretty confident in their superpower, you know, even if they're not using it or choosing not to. So I think we got to be honest. Like, the real conversation is how much each side wants to give to each other to allow them to live their reality. One side already has history behind them in regards to their version of reality, right? And the other side want us to participate so that they could be more comfortable living theirs. I'm okay with meeting y'all some of the way, but it damn sure ain't gonna be halfway. Let's be clear. The numbers don't add up. The journey ain't the same. So I just feel like people just might have to take what they can get. You know what I'm saying? And we got to negotiate piece by piece. It ain't all gonna be. Oh, and one last thing I want to say too, right? Because I heard the speech that the brother gave, and he low-key was calling old girl manly. Like, I forgot the brother's name because he got mad that Jessica said what she said, and he was making a diatribe about how it could affect her because some woman got killed by a man who thought she was a trans woman, but she wasn't. She was really a woman who looked like a man. And then homeboy said, Jessica, he basically, and I said, oh my God, the level of shade. Good sir, okay? What Jessica did would not make us transphobic. But what you did might, though, for real. You was doing way too much, my guy, to try to make a fucking point. And that be the problem. Y'all don't have one. Y'all be bending over backwards. Can I say that? Yeah.
We said a lot of things on this, so, I don't see why not.
I'm
So,
sorry.
Yeah, that's not the worst thing you said. You're okay.
yeah. Yeah, so.
Go ahead, Esther. Save me for myself.
So I'm going to say that I stand with Jess on this. You know why? Because I'm tired of the being considered transphobic and just because I value being a woman and stand on the fact that I am a woman. I don't need the word cis in front of it. You know why I don't need the word cis in front of it? Because I'm already a woman biologically. And for those who are not or who are biologically women who want to be trans men and still have birth, hey, that's your prerogative and you can call yourself a man. But when we get down to the rooty tooty of the goodies, you got a vajayjay. That's how you're able to have that baby. And biologically in the world, as in human nature, as a matter of fact, just nature in general, there's male and there's female. And one side can have baby, one side cannot, regardless of if you present yourself a certain way. And so you can present yourself as a male all day, but as long as you have the innards of a biological woman, then technically, yes, you are a woman having a baby, regardless of how your face looks. Now, I will call you what you want to call by your preferred pronoun, and I will identify you as the man that you want to be identified as, but your function, unless you take all that out and replace it with the built-in penis, according to surgery, apparently they take your uterus, invert it, sew it up and all that good stuff, something like that. Unless you have these surgeries and you no longer can have a baby, guess what? You're still a woman because you had all the function in the first place. I'm going to get a lot of hate on this, and I'm really not trying to be transphobic in any shape, way, or form, but I am so tired of being told that I'm the problem and people like Jess is the problem because we identify womanhood differently than the trans community. And this is no shade against the trans community in any shape, way, or form. So my thing is, you want us to be tolerant and say, hey, we only want equality. We only want inclusiveness. But then you fail to include us because you want to add extra stuff to us so that now we all got something in front of it. So you can't just say I'm a trans woman or a trans man. So now we got to be cis women because you can't just own up to being trans in front of it because ultimately it's like, well, but I'm a woman. That's what I identify with. Well, you know what? that's fine. You can identify as a woman, but you still have a uterus. Or if you don't have a uterus because you're actually a man who's cosplaying as a woman, then that's fine too. This is your prerogative. And stop trying to ask me and people like me to say, oh, you are a woman because you identify as woman. Hey, I respect your pronouns all day. I will stand with you. I will say equality, equality all day. But at the same time, I need you to respect my boundaries too. And if I want to be called a woman without having sis in front of it or any of that stuff, then you should be okay with just calling a woman because that's what I identify as. So I stand with Jess on this. She went a little far on one of her videos that apparently was deleted because she viewed it as a delusion and and said that the only difference between a trans person, I'm glad she deleted, even though I'm throwing it back out there, the difference between a trans person and a mental insane person was a straitjacket. Now she went too far there, and I appreciate the fact that she deleted the video because I disagree with that concept. I disagree with what she was saying, but I understood where she was coming from because you know what? Before women can wear pants, if a woman was wearing pants, she was considered crazy. When a woman was hysterical, guess where she went? She went to the nutty bin because they were like, oh, she's nutty. So craziness is defined differently through each generation, right? And at some point, being LGBTQ was actually considered what's the word? I don't want to say crazy, but was considered you had a mental illness at some point, right? So now it's been normalized. So I disagree with her because I think in that regards, because what you identify as, it could be because that's the way you were born. It could be through nature, it could be through nurture, or whatever the case may be, maybe through attraction. I don't know. So I don't believe it's a mental illness, but I do believe the fact that you keep trying to force me to say I'm cis may be a mental illness because why the hell I have to say I'm a cis woman versus just a woman? So I'm going to say, I accept you for who you are. Just don't force it on me. And I also accept you if you want to be a woman, but then you give birth, or you want to be a man and you have a uterus and you give birth, then I'm going to say, congratulations, Ma, because you gave birth. And then afterwards, I'm going to say, all right, okay, Pops, because Brittany, wasn't it Brittany, what, Renner? No, not Renner.
Reiner?
Yeah, that's it. And now she having daddy issues where she's put on child support for the baby that's not even hers. So you want all that drama? I support you with that drama. So just don't infringe on my rights to call me what I want to call myself, just like I won't infringe on your rights to call you what you want to call yourself.
Jay, like you want to get in there?
No, man.
Well,
he was like, she gonna get all the smoke now.
Right. You want some of this?
No, listen. I agree wholeheartedly with SNM. Because again, I think it really just depends on where you land for real, and more in practical application of life. We're not dealing with these things for real, right? So a lot of the times, it just depends on how we choose to address people, what we choose to acknowledge, and most people are decent. You know what I mean? But I will say this though, and I got to say it. I'm trying to find the best way to say this. I can understand how some people may question the mental capacity of someone to believe they are something they have never had the experience of, especially if you try to quantify what that thing is externally. I'm gonna just leave it there. Because I've just never wondered, like a person who's never been a thing, how would you know what that thing feels like or is like if you've never? That's the riddle that I find myself still trying to answer. You get what I'm saying? I get that because the way my brain works, it's almost like Rachel Dolezal a little bit, right? It's like you think you know what this experience is, but how? And then if the only thing that you can do is approximate it through how you show up in the world, we'll call it cosplaying, but we don't like that when it's transracial. But anywho, so I just got questions in terms of how people who are not a thing can think they are a thing they've never been, and what basis are they basing that feeling off of? That's the thing I'm trying to, maybe it's a question for another day. Maybe we'll have somebody who could tap into the show and provide that answer for us. But to your point, S&M, there was a period of time, and it wasn't that far off, where certain things were classified in a certain type of way when it came to mental health. And so, yes, things are being normalized. We're going to give thoughts and prayers to everybody. Look, we all want everybody to be happy, live their best lives, and not be unencumbered with unnecessary things on their identity. Any final thoughts, man, before we get up out of here? I feel like we've been tipping-toeing a little bit, but go ahead. Any final thoughts? We'll start with you, Jay. Final
Yeah.
thoughts before we get up out of here, bro.
Oh man. So my final thought, getting out of here, just to recap, is don't be too honest. Everybody ain't ready for that. Only be honest with people who can be honest with themselves. Let that be your rule. And everybody else, if they can't be honest with themselves, then you give them as much of you as they're able to handle of themselves. Because it just everybody ain't ready. As far as these relationships go, man, y'all gotta just let people move away, man. Let people do them. You know what I'm saying? Be smart on the front end, plan ahead. You know what I'm saying? Try to look out for what could be problems in the future. And then it's black love if you continue to work at it, right? It's not black love because it's perfect. It's black love because you say, you know what? It's me and you in the trenches. So I got you and you got me even when I don't like you. That's black love for real, for real. That's all I got to say, man.
Yes,
Oh, and I
sir.
miss Tia and Delvin. You know what I'm saying? Miss y'all. Hope y'all make it back. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we miss y'all. Thanks, Jay.
I know, right?
Did
You're
I do it? Did it sound good? No.
We love it. We love it. So, the first thing I would like to say is that prenups matter, no matter where you are in life and who you're with. Prenups matter. Get a prenup. I actually strongly encourage for financial planning purposes, especially if you are a person of means, that this protects you. And for women who are hesitant to get prenups, that actually can protect you as well. And so there are benefits for both sides to get prenups. Is we normally present it as one-sided, that is just protecting the man, but it's also protecting you because you can put in your requirements as well if the man is of means of what you need or your clauses and so forth. So it could be an equal opportunity for you as in the prenup too. That's why you get your lawyers involved. So get a prenup. Matter of fact, Offset probably should have, or Cardi probably should have had a prenup too in place
Yep.
because look what's happened. Offset is coming to offset some of your funds. So you should have had a prenup too. And the last thing I would like to point out is about black love. So I know sometimes we get so caught up in these celebrity relationships and sometimes we get jaded by seeing this whole fairy tale that turned out not to be quite a fairy tale. But at the end of the day, they're just people, and people will work through relationships regardless if it black love or whatever love you want to call it. But what I will say is that I have black love. I have black love with my husband. The men on the panel, they have black love. And so maybe not looking at the relationships in the celebrity light, like these type of celebrities, but maybe looking at people who are near you and see what type of love they have and people in the community who have black love. Let that be the example of black love that you need versus the toxic stuff that get thrown at us through media and whatnot.
So we didn't get a chance to mention this during the show, but I want to give a shout out to Trump. I know so many of us have Trump fatigue, but Trump was passing out pardons this past week, right? Apparently, Larry Hoover received a commutation, if that's how you pronounce it, how you say it, right? Very long time. A lot of people had been, arguing on his behalf for that. So kudos there. And then NBA YoungBoy. Also, I'm like, damn, how did Trump stay so tapped into the culture, right? And I get that so many people are tired of Trump. And the reason why I'm bringing him up is this. I actually do appreciate Trump because Trump is like pulls the veil back. Like really pulls it back. All the bullshit that we thought you couldn't do as president, all the rules, all the pomp and circumstance, like he is bucking all that shit, right? And I'm saying this because I feel like as I get older, I've become more red pill about how I look at the world. Like looking at it for its raw ugliness. You know what I'm saying? Like we're the ones walking around here with veils over our eyes. Trump didn't have that. And so now he's showing us, and if y'all want to see what's happening, this is the world that we live in, y'all. Shit ain't sweet. You know what I mean? And so I think the sooner we come to that realization, the better we'll be able to navigate. That's why I'm cynical. Like, not even the cynical on a specific story, but like just overall, because I feel like I am seeing y'all. Not y'all on the show, because I love y'all. I'm talking about when you start to see human beings for who the fuck they really are for real, life the way it is for real, you just have a whole different POV, man. So I encourage y'all to take the red pill too. With that being said, I know, crazy ending to a crazy show. I want to give kudos and love and shout out to Del and Tia. We miss y'all. Don't forget, to like, subscribe, and follow and all that good stuff. Check out the merch. We'll be back next week, and hopefully they will be too. Until then, y'all, we'll see y'all later. Be easy.
Peace.